Our next storyteller is a teacher and interpreter of American Sign Language, a writer. Her name is Lady J. Let's hear it.
Yes.
Lady J is going to both speak her story and sign her story. And we hope to have her back many times, so if you know people who are deaf, let them know that we're going to have a person that signs stories.
Yeah,
Lady J.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. And good evening. Good evening. First, I want to thank my good friend, my newly found friend, Phil Ginsberg, for telling me about the Story Project back in October. So thank you, Phil. And for Sharon, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. Just when I thought it was safe to go back into the water back in 1988, I had recently come out of an abusive relationship, and it was an extremely difficult time, as I'm sure if any of you have ever known anybody who've experienced domestic violence, or if you've gone through it yourself, you know it can be very traumatic. And so I fought very hard to get out of the relationship, and I came out of it, I can't say unscathed, but nonetheless. And so that's why I say, just when I thought it was safe to go back into the water, I met someone else. Mm-hmm. And so this, the title of this piece from the third chapter of my book that I'm writing is called Elwood, so come back with me to 1988. I had recently moved into my apartment, and I was so excited. Me and my 3 little kids, we just moved in. And as I was checking the mailbox one day, I saw this young man standing on the porch of my girlfriend Sharon's house. And I noticed that he kept watching me, just watching me. So I said, hello. And he said, how you doing? I said, fine. He said, do you mind if I ask what your name is? Just like that. And I said, I'm Jackie. And you are? And he said, I'm Elwood. I said, Elwood? I was really shocked because I had never heard a name like that before. And so I had to probe a little more. So I said, is that your real name? And he said, it's the name I prefer. And I left it at that. So then he said, do you live close by here? I said, yeah, I live right down on the end of the road. Why? He said, well, do you mind if I come over and chit-chat sometime? I said, no, not at all. I welcome your company. As I said, I had 3 small kids. So he came to visit. He started coming to visit. And before long, he moved in. Now, it was not my intention to get involved in another relationship so quick. But you see, I thought it was cute. And I found him something to do. So he came over, we started dating. And so for the next few months, our life together was as volatile as ever, because I found out that he also had a temper and he was also abusive. But he was also young. I was 24 and he had just turned 21. And I realized that he was just a young boy trying to live a grown man's life with me and my kids, a life he was so not ready for. And how can a man expect to be respected when he constantly shows himself to be mean and disrespectful and surly? And so, as the story goes, it was a quiet night, at home, me and the kids, we were enjoying watching TV. I had told the kids they could stay up a little while longer to finish their program before heading upstairs to take their bath and then to bed when Elwood came in. And Elwood, he was always the type to spoil everybody's fun. So when Elwood came in, he saw that the kids were still up, and he ordered them to go to bed now. So I told Elwood, I told the kids that they could stay up a little while longer to finish their program before they go upstairs and take their bath before they go to bed. But that just wasn't good enough for him. He just had to press the issue. He just had to have his way. So of course, the argument was on. So his attention gazed at my kids again. He told them, "Get upstairs now." Now I was enraged because he just completely ignored what I said. So I stood up. I told all three of my kids to stay right where you are. No move. And I shoved all three of them behind me to protect them. And at that point, I don't know where Elwood got a ruler from, but he pulled it out and he reached all the way around me and he started hitting all my kids on the head. And at that point, I lost my damn mind. The only thing I remember saying was, "You mother," and I ran into the kitchen and I grabbed a knife and I came back and I started slashing at him to his arm and to his body before he broke the sound barrier getting the hell out of my house. And as he left, I hurried to the door and I locked it. And I tried to calm the kids down because they were all upset. But then I thought, I need to call the police. But I don't have a phone. What do I do? So I tried to calm my kids down. And I thought, okay, what do I do? So I turned off all the lights in the house. And I gathered all my kids together and I put them in the pantry. There was a blanket and I covered them up with the blanket. And then I whispered to all of them, I said, "Stay here and don't come out until I tell you to, okay?" And all three of them looked at me and they said, "Where you going, Mama?" And I said, "Mama's got to go get to a phone to call the police to come and make Elwood leave us alone." And then I looked at my oldest daughter, who was 4 at the time, and I told her, "Stay here and don't come out of this closet and don't let your brother and sister come out either. You hear me?" And she replied in her little voice, "Okay, Mama." And so when I heard Elwood banging on the front door, that's what he was doing, running back and forth from the front to the back door, banging, trying to get back in. So as Elwood was at the front door, banging on it, I ran to the back door. And I opened the door loud and I slammed it shut, loud enough for him to hear it. And when he thought he was going to come by there and catch me, and I shot out the front and all the way around to where Sharon lived. And I frantically knocked on her door and I said, "Sharon, can I please use your phone to call the police on Elwood? He's down in my house. He's terrorizing me and the kids, and I got him out of the house, but he's still trying to get in. So can I please use your phone?" Now, her boyfriend was also a woman beater. And they were in the bedroom window looking down at me. And he looked at me and he smirked his usual evil smirk. And he said, "Hell no, you can't use our phone. I hope Elwood whoop your ass." So I ignored his mean and spiteful remarks. And I asked Sharon, "Well, can I?" And she said, "Yeah, hold on." So she let me into the kitchen. And I used the phone and I called 911. And I ran back to my house, praying all the time that he didn't re-enter my house and find my kids. Because if he had, then I would be going to jail that night for killing his ass. Mm-hmm. So safely I let myself back in, went to the pantry and I gathered all my kids together and I came out. But Elwood was determined to get back in. So as he ran to the front and to the back, so did we, running back and forth from the front to the back door, running. So I told him, "You better leave," because I called the police. Now, earlier when we first started dating, I was at the local bar and I introduced Elwood to a few of my male cousins there. And one of my cousins told him in the beginning, "You are never to put your hands on my cousin." Well, unbeknownst to me, that cousin, he lived directly across the street from me. And he was watching every move Elwood made that night, running from the front to the back. And as I told Elwood, "You better leave," because I called the police, my cousin had crept up behind Elwood and he put a gun to the back of his head. And I heard him say, "Come on, nigga. I told you about fucking with my cousin, didn't I? Come on." And I watched him as he took him to the street. He said, "Get in the street." And as I watched from the safety of my front door, I saw my cousin pistol whoop the hell out of Elwood. He hit him and he kicked him, and then I heard Elwood screaming in pain, "Jackie, help me!" I was like, So, long before the gangster rapper Biggie Smalls ever wrote these lyrics, my cousin told Elwood, he said, "Now lay down, slow." And as I saw Elwood start to kneel in the street, I yelled out there to my cousin, "Don't do it, cuz, don't do it." And every time he screamed, "Jackie, help me," my cousin hit him again. So here I go. I had great compassion for my fellow human being, so I ran out there to save his life. And I just barely reached the street before Elwood started crawling up me. Next thing you know, he had placed me securely in front of him as a blockade from the wrath of my cousin. And he was gradually pulling me back. And my cousin was telling me, "Move out the way, Jackie, move out the way. I'm gonna kill this nigga." And I said, "No, leave him alone. I already called the police, so you're going back across the street before the police come. I can handle this, just leave him alone." He said, "No, I told him." So Elwood was screaming and he was cowering behind me. So as I tried to get my cousin away from him, Elwood was pulling me slowly back toward the house. And next thing you know, all that trouble I went through trying to keep him out of the house, we ended back up in the house. But Elwood was terrified. He was bloody, his face was swollen. I didn't want my cousin to kill him because I had compassion for him. But I was like, good, because you got lumps and everything all over your head. And so by the time that the police arrived on the scene, my cousin made it safely back across the street. And as I explained what had happened to the police, I thought Elwood had escaped out of the back. Only later, as me and the kids were sitting watching TV, I heard a noise from the kitchen. As I got up to go see what it was, I realized that Elwood was hiding in the pantry. Scared the hell out of me. I didn't know. So as I opened the door and he came out, he was like a little boy trembling. "Can I please stay? Please don't make me leave. I don't want your cousin to get me." I was like, no, you have to leave. But I let him stay because I had compassion. And then the next day, he left. I'm Lady J, y'all. Thank you.
Yes.